I am Curran Bhatia. I am joined by Antonio, the Magic Man Tarver. Antonio, obviously it's crazy times right now. So the first
It
question
is.
is going to be, are you safe? Where are you? Is everything good?
Everything's good. My family is safe and sound. All my loved ones. I mean, we've right now been totally blessed and safe from the coronavirus, man. And I pray that everyone else, family and loved ones, safe as well, man. It's a horrible pandemic that we're dealing with, but together we can make it through this, and hopefully at the end of the day, we're better for it.
Absolutely. Glad to hear that you're safe. Glad to hear that everyone around you is safe. So let's talk a little boxing. Obviously, the last time we saw you in the boxing ring was 2015.
Yeah.
The first question, are you done? Are we ever going to see you get back in there? Do you have the itch at all?
Well, you never say never, but with the climate, with everything going on, and the legends are really making their name noted out there in today's climate in the boxing world. I mean, you never know. I mean, I'm in great shape. When you look at my age, I've really not even maintained. I'm just preserved. I mean, it's just a blessing. I'm just preserved, man. And when I look at guys like Mike Tyson, Roy Jones, a host of other older fighters, putting their names back in the hat. Yeah, definitely give me butterflies. It makes me think about a lot of things, because in my last fight, I just felt that I had so much more. It was a controversial draw, but I didn't lose. I didn't get knocked out, and I don't ever remember getting drugged in the ring. But I still feel like I had some big victories left. But sometimes you just get tired. You know what I mean, man? You just get tired of trying to make this happen, to make that happen. It just don't seem like anything you're wanting to do is supported. So, I just felt like it was time for me to move in another direction and do some of the things that I'm enjoying myself right now doing. So, yeah, sometimes you got to put on that other hat and, pursue other dreams.
Absolutely. And the last time we saw you in the ring, it was 2015. It was your only draw. It was against Steve Cunningham. I know now you're 51 years old, so everything you said makes sense. I heard that you're actually afraid to put on the boxing gloves because you may not be able to take them off. Is that true?
Yeah, I think I said that once, man. It's one of those things, once you do it, you love it, you miss it. So, and you still can do it. That's the crazy part. But, I would love to show the world why I'm the Magic Man. You know what I mean? And I think at 51, maybe they might think, okay, there's no way he can do some of the things that he used to be able to do in the ring. But I'm here to say that I can, and I just don't bother with it anymore. I mean, I don't put my focus on that. But I can. It's not like I can't fight, and I can still fight at a high level. You know, the game never retired me. The game of boxing itself never retired me. I retired. I just felt like I was standing in one place, and no matter what I did or what I tried to do, it just wasn't supported, and it just fell on deaf ears. So I just got tired of trying. Before I retired, I can tell you that I trained for 3 days. I had 3 training camps. Orlando Cuellar can testify for this. But every fight fell through. There was no bout agreement, but I'm training, and it's a waste of time. I wasted a year and a half, man, and I just got tired of wasting time, basically.
No, and that makes sense. And so, of course, we're talking about, legends in the game making a comeback. I have to ask you your thoughts. We know Mike Tyson and Roy Jones are coming together on September 12th. So what do you make of that matchup? What do you think about those guys fighting? We mentioned you're 51 years old. Roy Jones also 51. Mike Tyson 54 years old. What do you make of the Tyson Jones matchup?
Well, they're two of the biggest names in the game over the last 20, 30 years. So, I mean, if you know boxing and you understand it and you see, your Mike Tyson and Roy Jones, this is an opportunity for them to do something, great for themselves. You know what I mean? I don't know what to expect. There's so many, I think, guidelines in the deal. You don't know what to expect. At one time I hear they're not going to be able to go for the knockout. Then I hear they won't even be judging the fight. So when you look at it as a pure exhibition on all levels, then it's kind of hard to think they're going to go in there and give it their all. You know what I'm saying? When they got all of these predetermined notions already spelled out. So it's not a fight. They'll just get that out the way. But I love what they're doing. I mean, they're going to make a lot of money. It's going to be a lot of interest. And like I said, it opens the door for other fighters to do some things as well. So, if they can do it, there's many more people that can do it. So, my thing is, I'm happy for them. I'm happy for them. It could open the door for me. So, I'm not going to frown on anybody getting money and doing it the right way. But the thing about it is, man, it's just like, sometimes fans, they don't support all fighters. They don't support all champions. There's only a few guys that can come back and do it at this level. And it's guys like Mike Tyson and guys like Roy Jones, because they were so beloved and, and at the top, when they were at the top of the game, I mean, people were talking about them as if, they were, two of the greatest of all time. And of course, all-time greats, but, at one time they were saying Sugar Ray, Roy Jones was as great as Sugar Ray Robinson. And, a lot of people felt like that. And I'm not saying that he wasn't. And I'm not saying that he wasn't. Yeah, he could have been all those things. But when you say that, you got to put the light on the flip side. You have to put the light on the flip side. It's, I respect Roy Jones. I do, man. And he was a big inspiration for me, even turning pro and really getting back my love for the game of boxing after witnessing him get robbed in the '88 Olympics. So a lot of people don't know, Roy Jones was one of my first inspirations when I got back in the sport and got serious about it. If I wouldn't have seen and witnessed the 1988 Olympics myself, I probably would have never boxed. I probably would have never returned back to boxing. That light probably would have never been lit inside of me. So when I look at that, the time I watched that on TV, and that after that fight, after Roy got robbed, I instantly got off the couch and I ran 3 miles. And I can tell you, I've been running ever since. I've never looked back. I've been running ever since 1988 in Seoul, Korea, when Roy got robbed in the Olympics, man. So I just want to give you that nugget. But that's going to be in my book, man. My book will be coming out this year, too. We got 8 chapters of a 12-round fight. I don't know what I'm going to name my book yet, title it. But right now, it's the greatest story never told. And I don't know if that's going to change by the time we, go to print. But that book should be done within 2 months. I get interviewed every Sunday. So I'm excited about that, man. My book coming out. So I got the greatest story never told, but somebody got to tell it.
Thank you for sharing that story. I actually had that question in my list of questions when I was doing research in terms of how Roy motivated you. So it was great to hear that from your own words. So speaking of this fight, they're calling it a Legends Tour, a Seniors Tour. And like you said, this opens up the possibility. Now we have to see what happens first, obviously, between Roy and Mike, but it obviously opens up the possibility for other people to get into the mix, yourself included. So I read that in terms of this fight, you said that Roy and Mike Tyson have other adversaries, and they're choosing to run from their adversaries. Now, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I believe that's you saying that Roy is maybe running from you a little bit. Is that how you feel?
And or Mike Tyson running from Holyfield, because, I was down there training with Holyfield, and they had every indication that they were supposed to do an exhibition with Mike Tyson. I don't know what happened to that situation, but then we find out that Roy Jones is doing it. It's a great matchup. I mean, everybody is excited about it for obvious reasons. But I mean, not running, because Roy Jones and I feel like our business is settled. But my thing is this: if they're not going to be a winner, then how the hell can I call out the winner? You feel me? I can't call out Mike after he whooped Roy. I can't call out Roy after he whooped Mike. but I want the winner of that fight. I mean, period. And, you know, when I look at exhibitions, I think exhibitions for fighters that can't do it no more. Exhibitions are fighters that can't fight at a top level anymore. I don't fall into that category. So, if I would entertain anything, it would be fighting for real. I will do an exhibition for charity or whatever like that, but I'm not an exhibition fighter, man. I still got my skills. I still got my reflexes. I still got my timing. You know what I mean? Only thing I lost is years I can't get back. That's it.
And what is the relationship now? We know about the trilogy you had with Roy Jones, and we're hearing what you're saying in terms of the adversaries and things like that. What is your relationship like now with Roy Jones?
Well, when I was saying the adversary, that was just Tarverism. I was just being me, the magic man. I know how to strike a little controversy up in a situation if I need to, you know what I mean? But no, I'm going to let them have it, man. I ain't tripping on nothing. I'm going to let them have it. But, like I said, it was a time back in, when I was starring in Rocky Balboa, there was a time that Mike Tyson and I was sitting at the table because I had already knocked Roy Jones out. So, that whole situation with him and Roy was put to bed. You know what I mean? And then, it was a lot of talk of me and Tyson fighting, because I was 233 pounds at the, in the Rocky movie weighing in. So, hindsight, I should have probably just stayed in Hollywood, stayed at heavyweight and did my thing from there. Hindsight, which is always 2020 because I didn't see everything that I had to go through. I didn't see that back then. But hindsight, I probably would have never came back to boxing. I probably should have just stayed in Hollywood because I had opportunities to work. And I turned it down to get back into the business of boxing. And then I let that time go. And now, it's kind of hard to just say, hey, I'm ready to start acting again, but we're working on that. And I'm going to find my way back in Hollywood doing movies and even my own movies. I'm going to be doing my own movies and writing my own, turning my book into a movie maybe one day. You know what I'm saying? I want to be able to have all of those opportunities at my fingertips, meaning that I can do it on my own. If I want to go shoot a movie, I can shoot a movie. If I want to go do, those are the type of platforms that I'm building personally with Signature Punch Film and Signature Punch Management. So I'm excited about it, man. I'm going to be opening my personal gym. You're the first one to hear about this. By the end of August, we're going to have one of the state-of-the-art facilities where I'm going to have podcast capabilities as well as a full studio, Black Magic 360 cameras surrounding the whole gym. It's going to be a beautiful facility, and we're going to hone champions out of Signature Punch.
It's great that you have all these interests and things going on now post-career. You mentioned writing the book, you got the acting in movies, the gym. I think that's excellent. And of course, your great commentating work. I've seen you on a lot of different platforms commentating on fights. The thing about this Tyson Jones thing, it gives us the chance to just look back and have a little bit of nostalgia and have a little bit of fun. So you mentioned back when you were in the Rocky movies and then coming back into fighting. So back in that era, there was a rumor that in the 2003, around then, Roy Jones was offered $40 million to fight Tyson. Roy says that never happened, and Tyson was the one who didn't want the fight. We know that he eventually fought you in 2003 the first time, and then, of course, in the rematch when you knocked him out in the second round. So what do you think about that, in terms of that 2003, the offer being there for him to fight Tyson? Was that actually there in your opinion? What was going on there between Roy and Tyson, and then, of course, you in the mix as well?
Well, if Roy said it never happened, I tend to believe it never happened. I think if they offered Roy $40 million to fight Tyson, he would be a fool to turn that down at the time. You know what I mean? I don't think Roy's a fool. He's proven to be one of the smartest businessmen in the game. So I just think it just might be rumors. It might be rumors. I mean, I don't know. If Mike Tyson didn't attest to it and Roy Jones didn't attest to it, then it didn't happen.
And, like I said, it brings us back to the nostalgia. So when you fought Roy Jones in the rematch, this was in 2004, you guys were coming up together for this stare down. And of course, it's the iconic moment in boxing, one of the most iconic moments when you said, "Any excuses tonight, Roy?" So that moment was obviously a very electric moment. Was that a premeditated thing? Did you know you were going to say that? Or did you hear the referee say, "Any questions tonight?" and you decided that that's what you wanted to say at that moment?
No, it was a thought process. I had thought about it before because I definitely wanted to make a statement, but leading to the ring, I wasn't sure I was going to say it. I wasn't sure I was going to say it until I said it, but I definitely had thoughts about saying it, and then it just happened.
And when you saw Roy's reaction when you said that, did you get anything from him? Was he taken back in any way?
I don't know. You can ask him. I mean, but I was fired up. Man. I was focused, and but I could have gotten knocked out just as well as Roy Jones could have gotten knocked out, and then hey, I would have been the laughing stock of the whole world. But when you train with the type of focus, tunnel vision, and you got lifelong dreams, and and you have the tools. I don't know why people think I just popped out of nowhere. I don't know why people think I just appeared and was some challenge for. I cleaned out the division. I was one of the greatest amateurs of all time. So I made my natural transgressions, and I beat everybody in the top 10, and they were so surprised that I showed up. I mean, I don't get that. They knew I was coming, bro. They knew I was coming. How could they not? I knocked out Eric Hart in a rematch, something Roy couldn't do. I dominated Montel Griffin. I mean, I had some big wins. I beat Reggie Johnson as a young pro, who was a 2-time world champion. I beat Chris Johnson, knocked him out, who was an Olympic bronze medal. See, what they don't do, they won't put my record under the microscope. You see what I'm saying? I fought all the killers. So by the time I got to Roy Jones, I was seasoned. I was ready. If Roy Jones would have fought me when he should have fought me, maybe you're never hearing about the Magic Man. Maybe he beat me and I'm never heard of again. But when he let me avenge that loss to Eric Harding, it was it. That was over. I knew where I was going. I knew what I was about. I mean, I don't know how these people couldn't see it, bruh. My talents, yeah, I'm deceptive in every way. I'm so deceptive that the purists can't even see what they're looking at.
And speaking of criticism that you've faced, you fought Jones the first time, lost the decision, and then knocked him out in the rematch. There have been people who said Roy went up to heavyweight and then coming back down to light heavy maybe took something out of them. What is your response to that criticism, that it maybe wasn't the same Roy Jones?
It's an excuse, because I had to lose more weight than Roy Jones. We all have to lose weight. That's something that's common in boxing. It's common. 20, 30 pounds. It's common. Stop it. Knock it off. And I'm not being disrespectful, but Roy Jones had 2 careers, before me and after me, period. So, they can say what they want. I fought the man at 13 years old. If he wasn't kicking my ass at 13, he wasn't kicking my ass, period. Come on, man. The bottom line is I beat them all, bro. And I lost to 2 people in my career. 2 people best me. Listen to this. Bernard Hopkins and Chad Dawson. Everybody else, I beat their ass. Come on, bro. Chad Dawson, because he was 14 years younger than me and was a split image as far as talent-wise. But he didn't do nothing. He didn't hurt me. He didn't cut me. He didn't drop me. He didn't dominate me. Go look at common opponents. That's all you got to do. Montel Griffin, Eric Harding, and who else we got in common? So Montel Griffin, he knocked him out in the rematch. Same thing they thought was going to happen to me. But Montel fought him hard in that first fight. Montel was an Olympian. He was a solid fighter. He had all the skills. He had ability. He gave Roy Jones fit. Montel Griffin gave James Toney fits. I dominated Montel Griffin. When you look at common opponent, Bernard Hopkins, Roy Jones beat Bernard Hopkins in their first fight. In the second fight, it wasn't really no fireworks. You couldn't tell who was the more superior fighter in the rematch. No one really, Hopkins won the rematch, but he didn't blow Roy Jones out. He didn't do anything like that. So when you put the common opponents, Chad Dawson, Bernard Hopkins also lost twice to Chad Dawson. But I fought Chad way more competitively than Hopkins. So when you look at my fight and Hopkins' fight, you got to put that fight under the microscope, bro. You got to put that fight under the microscope. You can say it was the weight loss. You can say whatever you want to say, but something went horribly wrong in that fight. You've never seen me and Buddy McGirt not communicate between rounds. Between the corners, we're the best. We couldn't even get, he couldn't even get my focus. I was so out of it. Come on, man, go back and look at that fight, bro. With clear eyes, not with and I'm not saying I can't lose to Bernard Hopkins. I'm saying Bernard Hopkins never blow me away, never outclass me in a boxing match. I don't care how great he is. That's the one time, amateur or pro, that I've been outclassed. You know what I mean by outclassed? Mm-hmm. That don't mean you can't lose a fight to someone that's on your level. But getting outclassed is something I never did before. But one time, in amateur and pro. So tell me what happened. I don't know. So, my thing is, I'm a realist. I speak the truth, bro. I don't got to puff nothing up. If somebody beat me, I lost. It's no big deal. But I know when it wasn't me in that ring. All my natural abilities, the things that I can do right now today was gone. My timing, my reflexes, my eyes. I got the best eyes in the business. Couldn't do nothing. Fell asleep in a whole fight. And that was the biggest fight of my career because at that time, I was coming off the Rocky Balboa fight. Mm-hmm. I didn't even need to be in the ring with Hopkins, bro. I'm just talking to you openly.
Yeah.
For what reason did I have to be in the ring with Hopkins? And he coming off of 2 losses at middleweight. What reason do I have to fight Bernard Hopkins coming off the Rocky Balboa fight? Make that make sense.
No,
the one and only time I didn't have a rematch clause in my contract. The one and only time I didn't have a rematch clause in my contract. And I'm still baffled by why I didn't have a rematch clause in my contract. When I'm the undisputed light heavyweight champion, coming off of Rocky Balboa, giving Hopkins a lifeline. And I couldn't be afforded a rematch clause. So all you got to do is use common sense. Use common sense and go back and listen to what I said happened back in, when was that?
2006, right? And would you, we're talking about, fighters coming back. Is that someone that you'd want another crack against, Bernard Hopkins?
No. Why would I have to fight Bernard Hopkins? Why would I want to give him another lifeline? No, I don't want to do nothing with Hopkins because when he had a chance to be honorable and give me a rematch, he didn't. Because they took something from me that night, bro. And it wasn't my titles. It was my status. The titles mean nothing. It's the status. You see what I'm saying? So they give Hopkins that win. And now I'm always looking up at Hopkins. Come on, bro. I see what the thing is. I understand the business. All of it. The good, the bad, and the ugly. I understand the business. A lot of people don't. But that ain't my fight anymore. I'm just saying that they changed the whole dynamics of someone's career in one night. And I won the title 2 times after that. But I never won my status back. You see what I'm saying? I never won my status. I've been crawling and I've been fighting for that status since that day. So, that's how they That's how the shit works. You know, but if I would have got that rematch with Hopkins, come on, bro, we wouldn't be talking right now. Because every time you get a rematch, you get a chance to settle the score. Settle the score. That's the only fighter I didn't have a rematch clause with. I had a rematch clause with Roy Jones. I had a rematch clause with Glenn Johnson. You see what I'm saying? And I was able to vindicate those losses. That was robberies. I didn't even have a chance to vindicate that asterisk by the Hopkins fight.
No, and I appreciate your honesty in terms of reminiscing and looking back at your career. So before we run out of time, I also wanted to ask you about a couple of fighters in the game right now. We of course know about the Wilder Fury fights that we've seen. They've been great fights, explosive fights. I saw that you tweeted, you said sprinkle some magic on that bomb to Deontay Wilder, saying that you could help him. How would you help Deontay Wilder?
I'm just different. I'm just different. I think I can speak his language, number one. To be honest, I think I can speak his language. And I just think Deontay need a real one in his corner, bro. A real one. He just need a real one in his corner that can speak his language and give him just some confidence when it comes down to what he can do in the ring. He can do a lot more than just throw a right hand, but he hasn't been trained to do nothing else. You understand me? So knowing is half the battle, bro. I know. That's all. I just know this game like no other. You know what I mean? I've been trained by some of the best early on in life. 10 years old, I was getting trained by one of the finest teachers in the sport of boxing, Jimmy Williams, my late great trainer, Jimmy Williams. Lived to be 92 years old. 10 years old, he was teaching us catch, rolls, triangle boxing, fighting out of the triangle, which, that's his secret. That's our style. Fighting out of the triangle, the fundamentals of the game, those things. And then already being a smart, calculating fighter anyway, on my own, you feel me? On my own, being cagey, deceptive, really not, smart, intelligent in the ring, not making mistakes. So, that's what I would instill in Wilder. I'll just motivate him, inspire him, bro. Like, I can't tell you what I'll tell him, but it'll be, intimate conversations where you can encourage a guy and just, have him feeling real good about what he's doing, about what he's accomplishing, the way he's training. And then you can see the results. If you can see the results, then, he can buy into it. You know what I mean? Just some things that I know that the Magic Man brings to the table. I can't speak on it. It's something I got to show you. But when we're in the ring together with anybody who I'm training, I mean, I'm gonna sprinkle that magic on them. I'm gonna give them the sauce. I'm gonna give them the edge. I'm gonna give them the right game plan. I'm gonna give them that mindset advantage that they're gonna need. I'm gonna pretty much prep them for what I believe, how the fight is gonna go, dissect the opponent, and give him the best game plan to neutralize that guy.
Deontay Wilder, if you're listening right now, I think you should give the Magic Man a call. So in the first fight Wilder had with Fury, we know it was a draw. Fury moved around a lot. In the second fight, he had a totally different game plan. He bulked up. Fury did. He came in at 273 pounds. He used his power and ended up knocking out Wilder. So I'm sure there's a lot going on in Wilder's head if and when he takes that third fight. If Wilder doesn't make changes in terms of bringing someone new in as a trainer or anything like that, how do you think a third fight would play out between Wilder and Fury?
Well, I want to say this. Mark Breland is a very good trainer, very credited trainer. But if he's working with a guy that's being difficult to be coachable, see, in order to make a great trainer, you have to have the right people. You got to have someone that buys into the game plan. Sometimes that's hard to do by the circumstances. You know what I mean? I think everything basically, you can look at JD's, you can look at Mark Breland, you can look at all those things. But I know that when it comes down to it, that fighter has to be willing to be coachable, be willing to be taught, to be willing to listen, to be willing to take advice, to trust that. And if you don't have that, then there's already a gap in between where you need this fighter to be. And so I think the biggest thing that needs to happen is for Wilder to recognize all of this, for Wilder to eat a little humble pie, man, and understands that the work is not finished. It's far from finished. The work is not finished. And sometimes we might have to break all that down and start back from the basics. That don't mean throw everything away. That means just start back from the basics. You know what I mean? Perfect those basics so you can build on that foundation, because your game plan is only going to be as strong as the foundation is built on. So I think he needs to go back to balance. Footing. His footing. You never supposed to square up both feet. No, that's something you never do in boxing. You always keep your form. When you lose form, you lose everything. So that's what I would work on him with. No matter what happens in the fight, keep your form. And I'm gonna keep the fight in the center of the ring. There's no excuse for a fighter to have his back on the ropes if you're trying to win. Not for long. If your back touch the ropes, it's time to move. Keep the fight in the center of the ring. So, there's a lot of things like that I think game planning wise, strategy wise, Wilder can really work on just to better himself. Don't put the focus on Fury. Better yourself. Do the things that you need to be doing. Stay consistent with what you need to be doing. Stay behind that reach. Learn distancing. Learn timing. Bruh, that's it. As big as he is, as athletic as he is, long as he is, should nobody be able to get through that jab.
That's great advice. And we saw him in the second fight with much more on the ropes, like you said, and that's not where you want to be. We mentioned that they may fight in a third fight, hopefully Wilder and Fury. There's also been talks that Joshua and Fury have maybe a 2-fight contract coming up. So it'll be interesting to see. In terms of those top players at heavyweight, Joshua, Fury, and Wilder, who do you think is at the top of the pack at heavyweight right now?
And you got to go with Tyson Fury. He knocked out WBC champ Wilder. And then, it looked like he went back to the drawing board. If you take that first fight, for instance, only one fighter made any adjustments. Only one fighter felt that, this second fight can be different. And Fury went back, his trainer, they made great adjustments. They got to work, and you can see they had a game plan, and they executed their game plan. Wilder didn't have a game plan. Wilder didn't have a game plan to fight Tyson Fury. He thought the same guy was going to show up. He thought they was going to replay the first fight. And that was just being naive about the game, basically. So now Wilder has to go back to the drawing board and do what he didn't do in the rematch. And that's make adjustments from the first fight. The correct adjustments by breaking that fight down, seeing what happened, and then going to that rematch and seeing what happened, and then atone for that. He got to get his legs under him. He needs his legs under him. It didn't look like he put a lot of work in on the road. He didn't get his cardio up. He didn't get his heart rate up. He didn't train as if he was going in there to fight the second best heavyweight in the world. And a lot of times you just get blinded by power. But power is only effective when it lands. If you can't land the punch, it's ineffective. So forget the power. He's big enough already. If he hits you with a punch, he's gonna hurt you. So I would work on more rhythm, more rhythm, more timing, you know, more balance, and everything flows off that. Everything flows off that behind that long reach. Simple.
It's great advice. So just to close it out, final question. We know about what everyone is going through in the world right now, the global pandemic. And I wanted to ask you, you talked about this a little bit earlier. When your life was spiraling out of control, you saw Roy Jones get robbed in the Olympics, and that motivated you, right? You said you started running and you never looked back. So, and then in terms of everything you've achieved, you know, a champion in boxing, co-starring in Rocky Balboa, all the other great stuff you're doing right now in terms of being an author, in movies, training, commentating. So you were in a tough place. You got yourself out of it. Just wanted to, as a final question, what would be your final message to everyone right now going through these tough times? Any words of encouragement to you from you?
Yeah, man, I realize you got to have a plan. You got to work your plan. If you don't have dreams, big dreams, then, you know, what are we doing? You know, you got to want to be better than you are today. And that's how I'm able to reach those heights, man. I always plan. I always plan. And in my plan, I'm always on top. You know, I reach for the stars, bro. I reach for the stars. So I want to be one of the biggest promoters in the game of boxing. I want to be one of the biggest managers. I want to be one of the greatest trainers, because that's all I know how to do is be great at everything I do. That's it. Golf. That's all I know how to do is be great at it. So if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna put my all into it, and I'm gonna trust that I'm following God's footsteps, that He's leading me in the path that I'm supposed to be going in, a purpose for living. You know, I always have a purpose for living.
Antonio Magic Man Tarver, thank you so much for the time. Thanks for your analysis, for breaking it down. Really appreciate it. Looking forward to all the great things you do, and I hope that we can chat again soon.
Great. And I want to also just let your listeners know that I have two hot prospects that signed the Signature Punch Management. Harold Calderon from Miami, who's 22-0 with 15 knockouts. We're looking to get him a nice little international belt so we can be right knocking at the door of the title. And I got, I believe, the future of the heavyweight division, Cortez Dunstan from Baltimore, Maryland. And he's 6'5", 270 pounds, and I call him Big Cat because he has some of the smoothest movement, footwork, and I can't wait to introduce these two guys to the boxing world, man. So they're going to be great. Follow me at Antonio Tarver on all social media platforms.
Antonio Tarver, he's the author, the actor, the boxer, the trainer, the promoter. You can do it all, man. So that's great. No, thank you so much.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.